folks, it's Adriel the Hunting Gear Guy, and this is the WK180C from Wolverine Supplies and Kodiak Defense. It's a 223 rifle based on the 180B made by Armalite, but this one uses an aluminum lower rather than polymer, and it has a bunch of other features that the original 180B does not have. I have a video on the original Armalite 180B on my channel there somewhere, if you want to go check it out. But suffice to say, they've really done a great job of removing a lot of the deficiencies of the 180 while still keeping the 180B lower, which is, in Canada here, the important part there is that this makes this a non-restricted rifle with appropriate barrel length. So this is an 18.5-inch barrel. It's based on the 180B, so it is a non-restricted rifle, which means we can take it out in the bush and not have to just go take it back to the range all the time, right? So we can do quite a bit more with this rifle. Before we get too far, let's make sure that it's empty. My magazine is out, and I can see that there's nothing in the chamber. Someone asked me like why I do that every time, and why don't I clear my rifle before? And of course I do. But part of what I'm trying to show here is that every time you're looking at a rifle or cleaning one or something like that, you should always make sure it's empty, because there's too many accidents out there. But let me stop my rambling, and let's take a closer look at this rifle. Now, to disassemble the rifle, it's actually pretty easy. I'm just going to flip it on safe. That's not really required, but I don't like my hammer going forward on a gun like this. I'm just going to use a field expedient tool here. There's a button right at the back that you can press in right there, or you can just press in with your finger. I prefer a bullet just because it makes it easier to push it in quite deep. Once you've got that in, you should be able to rotate up. I'm just going to be careful because that's going to want to spring out on me, and I should be able to move this forward. Now, on the original 180Bs, this was a polymer lower with a this hinge point here is one thing that broke on the originals quite often. There was actually a kit that you could buy to help with that, but with this you don't need to, right? So we've on the back there, we've got these two guide rods here that you can see that they're really nicely machined, and they run on these recoil springs. Now, this design turned out to be used by quite a few other guns afterwards because it is like a really cool design, and coincidentally that means that there's no buffer in here. This is solid back here, so if you really wanted to, you could get a folding stock on this thing. Let's just grab that bolt out. So I'm just going to flip you around so you can kind of see what I'm doing with the charging handle here. I'm going to raise it to that extraction point. I'm going to probably have to hold the bolt here while I do this. And then I just need to pull the charging handle out, quite easy as well. And then the bolt is going to come out the top. Let me just put the rifle to the side here for a second. Now, the bolt itself has quite a simple design. It's just like an AR-15, except there's no gas involved in this one. So this should actually be a pretty clean part. You shouldn't need to clean it that often. We can see here at the back, there's our firing pin, the strike for the back there. Once it's locked in place, a strike there will allow that firing pin to protrude from the bolt face. To disassemble, it's very similar. There's a not a cotter pin, but like a pin there anyways. Pull that guy out. The firing pin and spring, this is a sprung firing pin here, will come out the back. Your cam pin will come out there, and then your bolt comes out the front. Very easy, like super easy to clean. About the same thing as an AR-15. And a nice simple little piece of metal here. No gas, no carbon to deal with at the front here, which is nice. This recoil assembly here with these two springs right there, and then these pins here are just right inside this this back plate here. So you'd want to make sure that these are well oiled, because this is where your springs are going to ride on. Now, inside the gun itself, we've got the trigger assembly, and we've also got that bolt hold open that operates right here. You can see that that's kind of how that guy works. And mine's hitting a little bit, so I think I need to just either shoot it a lot or just file off. There's just a little bit of roughness right here, so that's interesting. I am going to change out the trigger toot suite here. I have a really nice, I've got a couple of AR-15s, and the nice thing with this is that it uses a standard AR-15 trigger. So if you want to, and I want to, I'm going to replace it with a really sweet trigger. The safety itself is ambidextrous, so you can use either side. It's got a very nice click, positive engagement there. No mistaking whether it's on or off. And overall, just looking really nice. Now, the back of this thing is a little bit chunky looking, and that's for a reason. That's the way that the AR-180B was, so they couldn't deviate from that. This back part here that kind of angles down, this is actually an adapter plate that that fits on the back. The original AR-180B would have had the stock coming out right about here, but by raising it up and using a buffer instead, a buffer tube, they're able to use a standard AR-15 stock, and they get closer to that standard AR-15 sight height so that you can use standard AR-15 height optics, which is what you want to be doing, because there's just the selection out there is so much better, right? A couple of interesting things. They use a locating block right here that also fits into the back. They've also got a couple of wings right here. You see here that these are kind of raised and out, and those grab onto the back here as well. And that's to reduce the wiggle. It's something that most AR-15s will have like a little bit of a play between the upper and lower. And with this one, it's really, really minimal. There's not really a lot of play there. Reassembling after cleaning is quite easy. We're going to take our bolt. We're going to make sure that the bolt head is just elongated. I'm going to pop her in there. Now, if you want the charging handle on the left-handed side, I do personally. I think that's the better choice. You just pop it in there. Otherwise, you can just pop it in that side. It's quite easy to change which side you want with this rifle. Pop it all the way down. Make sure it locks in place. Then what we're going to do is grab our recoil assembly, feed it in through those little holes that are in that bolt, push it all the way down, just wiggle it a little bit here so that it kind of clicks in through, and then we can go ahead and raise the back, and that's it. So quite easy to change around your charging handle if you really want to, or to just get into this thing to strip it down or take a look. In terms of furniture, the WK180B comes with some standard stuff. Standard mil-spec kind of collapsible stock on here. I think I'm going to get one that has like a QD mount slot on it on the left-hand side. We've got a standard A2 grip. These are all replaceable if you want to. There's a million of these to put into this rifle, so very easy to replace either of those. We've got our end plate here has a couple of mash hook interfaces, so if you have a single point sling, for example, and you want to grab onto there and use it as a single point, go ahead. That's your mash hook. Personally, I like a 2-point sling better myself. They're easier to handle. With a 1-point sling, you pretty much have to hold onto the gun anyways, otherwise it'll swing and hit you in the dick. And that's not what I want. So I prefer 2-point. That gives you an option of either going over the shoulder slung, or my favorite is to run one on the side up at the front and then one on the side up the back there. And then that way you can run it across your chest like this. It's a very comfortable way to carry, and then it's also very quick to pull it out. I'm going to try using this thing for coyotes if I can get some good accuracy out of it. So that's why I'm going to go with that style sling. Now, one of the things that this has that the original AR-180B doesn't is a really nice rail along the top. The original actually didn't have a rail on the top at all. It had an add-on one that you could put on there, but nothing as nice as this, where it's like actually machined into the top. Now, the fore end on this guy is also really nice. Really nice aluminum unit that's got some M-lock slots on the side as well as on the bottom here. So lots of options in terms of what you could put on there. Again, I'm probably going to put that M-lock QD mount on the side here because I want to be able to run a sling on this thing. Other than that, I'm probably not going to use most of the rail up here, but I will mount a scope on the top of this thing. Now, just to start with, and just because you guys are going to see it in the video anyways, I'm probably going to mount this bad boy on here just to start with, just to check for accuracy, and then I'm going to move on to a 1-4. I have a Vortex Viper 1-4 that I'm going to chuck on top of this thing. Now, the nice thing about 1-4s is that they're very lightweight. They have just a little bit of magnification, and that's really all I think I need. I don't need a ton of magnification on a gun like this. because this is going to be meant for like maximum 400 yard shots kind of thing. You don't need a lot of magnification to make those kinds of shots. Now to get into our gas system, we're going to need to loosen this nut here. Nut, screw, whatever. It's using a 5/32 Allen bit, or number 4 metric, I think. Should be close enough. I have no idea if it's under like huge spring pressure or not, so wish me luck. I am grabbing it from the sides here with my fingers just in case. Could be interesting. I'm just loosening it by hand. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it was under a little bit of spring pressure. There we go. So, there's the screw that was plugged in there. We've also got this little guy that came out. And I believe my piston and the rod should come out. Now, if you shot this thing a whole bunch, it's probably going to be a little bit hard to get out of here, but now it's coming. And there's our rod. So this is different than the original, but that's so that they could use a gas block and use a regular AR-15 barrel on this thing. So let me go ahead and throw that back in there. That was just if you were interested in knowing how to clean it, right? I'm actually going to not clean this thing a whole bunch. I don't think it really needs it. Now, for this cup here, I'm going to put the hollow end down. Should be real interesting with these lights in my face here. Okay. And then I'm going to grab that screw. Alright, that was interesting. Not the most difficult, but just awkward. Just awkward getting in there. Now I'm going to have to get this all around. So that little wing there actually makes it so you can push down with another Allen key and just kind of keep it to the side. Now the gun does come with 2 of these pinned Hera mags, and they drop free quite nicely. But I probably won't use these because they're a little bit long, and all that length, yeah, they could hold 30 rounds in the States, but here in Canada, that's a 5-rounder. Whereas like one of our pistol mags here will fit 10. So I'll probably run something like this just because it keeps that nice and compact and holds more ammo too. Also drops free very nicely. Now just a few more specs while you're here. The barrel is a 223 Wild Chamber, which should work with 223 or 5.56. Although I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna have the same problems I did with my AR with that Federal and Independence ammo. It just stuff just seems like it's mounted a little bit long. It's got a flash hider on it. You may want to go to a muzzle brake. Personally, I think I'm going to do some hunting with this thing, so I'm just going to leave the flash hider on. A muzzle brake when you're hunting is a pretty bad idea. And I think the only thing I'm going to do is put a scope on it. I am going to change that trigger out though, because I have a better one sitting right over there, and I'm probably going to change it out before I even hit the range, just because it's a nice $150 trigger, so I'm going to put that in there without even messing around. So why don't we get this thing out to the range and take some shots with it. Just want to see if it'll put a mark on it. Shouldn't. Very light dimple on it, super light. Whereas the AR will dimple them quite a bit more. All right, let's put a mag through this thing. All right, well, this doesn't look too bad. This is about an inch, inch and a half. This is the Browning 50 grain. The Nosler 62 doesn't look too bad either. These two touching over here. This Hornady VMAX, oh, nice. Yep, give me that all day long. And even the blaster ammo, this is just 10 rounds rapid fire. It's grouping them mostly over here in about a 2.5 inch group with a couple of flyers off the side, but overall not too bad. Hey everyone, I'm back. So I was just at the range with this WK180C. So far, pretty good. Oh man, I had a couple of groups that were like amazing, like right around sub MOA for 3-round groups. My 10-round groups with just blaster ammo were right around 2 inches at 100 meters. So that's right around 2.5 MOA, which is fine for blaster, for just like mil spec ammo kind of thing, right? Now, I did make one mistake. I tried to run this Federal, what is this? American Eagle Independence. And I had problems with this in my AR. My AR also has a wild barrel, a wild chamber in its barrel. And I think this Independence ammo is just loaded a little bit too long, because in this rifle, it did the same thing as in my AR and same thing as I've seen with other wild barrels. The bullet actually jams into the rifling and doesn't want to let go. So what will happen is that you'll extract it and it'll actually leave the bullet behind in the bore, which it did with this rifle. Now, I think that's an ammo issue because I've seen the same thing on my AR. I was really stupid and I did it anyways. So my solution is I've got a whole bunch of just American Eagle 223 for blaster ammo. It loved all the commercial spec stuff. I had some Hornady 55 grain VMAX stuff, which was excellent. I had some Browning stuff. Everything was like right around an inch, inch and a half maybe. So accuracy was fantastic. Now, one of the things I'd like to test upcoming is pressure on the forend to see if that makes a difference on changing where the hits are. There's a little bit of interference with the gas block and the forend, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. I really like having the charging handle on the left-hand side. It was very easy to go from empty to dropping a mag, putting a new mag in, and then racking it back and dropping the bolt on the new mag. So I didn't really miss like that bolt release over here because it was just real quick to just grab the charging handle and just let it go. So very easy from that aspect and very simple for usage. Mags are all dropping free real nice, so excellent from that standpoint. Recoil didn't feel any more or less than a gas AR, really. I didn't actually measure the velocity, but I imagine I'm getting a little bit more velocity with an 18.5 inch barrel versus my, say, 16 inch AR, but who cares, right? Overall, like pretty fun little gun out there. For the price, I don't think you can beat one of these. They're $1,000, $1,100, whatever. What do we got to compete against this thing? The T97, which I like the T97, but it's hard to put an optic on. This is silly easy. It's not as modular. This is super modular here. And it's the ergonomics on the T97 aren't that fantastic either. The safeties over in your armpit, the mag release and all that kind of stuff are buried down here instead of up here where they're very easy to grab. So what else does that leave us with? The Maccabi SLR, I think, is the best non-restricted option, but it's also pretty expensive as well, right? The upper and lower are $1,000. This is $1,000 all in, so you get quite a bit for your money on it. I'm trying to think here. There's the Keltec SL16, SU16. There it is. But that's the one with the polymer receiver at the back here. And I just saw one of those crack about 2 weeks ago here. So not that good. Whereas this is like all aluminum. I don't think you can really, like, this is the budget choice for something right around $1,000, a semi-automatic 223 here in Canada. This is it. This is the bomb for something like that. The ergonomics are great. Yeah, I'm getting the little brass kisses on the side here. I did have one fail to eject, so I'm going to actually take a look at that extractor tension there. I did pull that one round loose and it threw powder all over the inside here. It may have got under that extractor, so I'm going to take a look at that guy and see if that's doing anything. But so far, excellent rifle. Recommended upgrades, trigger, and that's it. I mean, if you want to do the stock because you want something that's a little bit fancier looking, go ahead. I really wouldn't recommend changing out the forend because, well, I like this forend. It's got the M-lock slots on it. I think the length is perfect. I don't need to. I'm not gonna like straight arm this thing like you see some guys do. And I got really like long gorilla arms anyways, so I'd really need a long forend to be able to do that. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I don't really think I need to upgrade too much in this thing. I'm going to keep the barrel as is. Man, the accuracy really surprised me. It's just where I want it to be. I'm going to have to run this thing for 3-gun. Do I have to take this scope off and put that 1-4 on? I've got that Vortex 1-4, and I just sighted it in, so I was thinking maybe I'd shoot some coyotes with this thing coming up here, but maybe I should put that 1-4 on and do both. Maybe I should do both with just one rifle. That'd be easy, hey? Maybe. I'll think about it. Anyway, sorry for the long rambling. That's my review on the Wolverine Supplies Kodiak Defense WK180C. Thanks for watching.